A lot is at stake for the ANC as the party's biggest province in numbers chooses new leadership. The provincial conference in KwaZulu-Natal hotly contested, but we'll know for sure when nominations are set to take place tomorrow. Meanwhile, there's a lot of activity outside the Olive Convention Centre in Durban. eNCA reporters Siphamandla, Goge and Manqoba Mchunu on the ground at eThekwini following these developments for us. Let's bring them in now. Starting up with you, Siphamandla, good afternoon. What time is this conference now expected to get underway? Has there been any changes or delays?
Well, we do not know what time the conference will start. The ANC in KwaZulu-Natal says it will start shortly. They had initially expected the conference to get underway just after 10 in the morning, depending on all logistical issues in finalizing registration. Remember, the pre-registration process was undertaken leading up to this conference. So today they had anticipated that at least just after 10 o'clock or 12, the latest, they would have started, but things did not work out according to their plans. The conference has not started. Plenary or conference venue is not full as we speak. PEC members were here earlier on, but they have since left to go and consult. Bonga Mkhize is showing you the conference venue. This is the plenary. This is where everything will take place. You can get a sense and the picture that not even half of the delegates are here. At least if you've got 80% of the delegates, you can start with your conference. But for now, it's not even 50% capacity. However, I can confirm that I've had regional secretaries confirming that their delegates and their branch delegates and members are on their way to the conference venue. As soon as they arrive, the conference will get underway. Perhaps let's pose that question to the PEC member of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, Mbimbi. Thank you very much for your time, Baba. When do you expect to start this conference?
We are now informed that delegates have already registered. There was only one region which is still remaining, but we are hopeful that within a process and a period of an hour from now, we will be commencing with this biggest political school of the ANC called Provincial Conference.
Are you not going to spend hours or even days on credentials like we have seen in other provinces, including the Eastern Cape in particular and Gauteng? Are you hopeful that once you start, you will not deliberate too much or fight over credentials?
No, the PEC have been seized with this responsibility to ensure that we attend to all the disputes that have been put forward by branches of the ANC, and the Credentials Committee as well has dealt with all the matters that are before them to prepare credentials, since we also adopted them as the PEC. So we are not anticipating any challenge when it comes to credentials. They will be adopted, but the branches, it's their own right to express whether they are happy with the credentials, but we don't anticipate any challenge.
I'm not sure whether you've heard this. Pardon me if I'm putting you on the spot. There was a protest outside by some ANC members who say they are from Ward 91 in eThekwini, who've been alleging that their branch general meeting was hijacked. People who have been selected as branch delegates to this conference are not the ones who should sit. As the PEC in KwaZulu-Natal, are you worried about the prospects of this conference being litigated or interdicted by some unhappy members?
No, we are saying the report we received from the PEC is that all the disputes which have been forwarded on time have been dealt with. Even National Dispute Resolution Committee had looked in those disputes. So therefore we are confident that there will be no challenge when it comes to credentials. Those branches who deserve to be here in this political gathering of the ANC, they will be admitted here. But I'm sure that the provincial secretary and the leadership of the province, the officials, will be attending to people. Whenever there are people who are protesting, the leadership must listen to what they are saying and also direct them to the right channels.
Will this political gathering have enough time to discuss policy issues, go to commissions, discuss socio-economic challenges that are facing the people of eThekwini and the people of KwaZulu-Natal as a whole? You would know better. The ANC is facing prospects of electoral decline. eThekwini, you are hanging by a thread there with the help of the small parties. Will you have enough time to discuss your declining electoral fortunes?
Yes, if you look at the program of the conference, we'll be allocating more time for commissions because we have a firm belief that as a province, when we attend the National Policy Conference, we don't need to be going there and sing, but we need to make meaningful contribution to the policy shape and direction that we want the organization to take. Looking at our economy as the province, which is put under big strain by floods, by the unrest, and many other catastrophic happenings that have occurred in the province. So therefore we are preparing ourselves. The Commission should be looking at how and the journey we've traversed with the implementation of ANC resolutions, how we are prosecuting the National Democratic Revolution as our program to liberate our people, especially to respond to the poor. How do we resuscitate local township and rural economies so that we inject more growth in making sure that we change the province to become an industrial hub.
What kind of leadership do you need to implement that? Perhaps you have had enough time to do that as the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. You've been governing for a very long time now. Why did you not do all of that you are talking about? But most importantly, this gathering, what kind of leadership perspective must it produce that will take the ANC forward, if at all?
No, it is important for our province to be united because contestations do not imply to divisions. Contestations are part and parcel of our democratic exercise as the movement to ensure that branches of the organization are afforded with an opportunity to elect their leadership preferences. But once the decision has been taken by this conference that this is the leadership that is elected, we must all rally behind that leadership, respect that leadership, but we need leadership which will prioritize the needs and respond to the aspirations of our communities, the leadership that will continue to unite this province, the leadership that will put their own personal interest aside and prioritize the interest of the people, especially rural masses which are still struggling in relation to service delivery and the economy that we need also to inject a growth to it so that we can develop more opportunities and also create new jobs.
Some of your fellow comrades have criticized you on social media for airing your views in terms of which leadership preference you would prefer, including the current chairperson Siphamandla, Provincial Secretary Mchunu Ntuli, and other leaders that will form part of that slate. What do you make of that criticism? Of course, it's your democratic right to air your views, but do you still think that Siphamandla and Mchunu Ntuli must come back?
No, as a delegate, I've got all the rights to have my own leadership preference, and this is what I'm going to express here in this conference by voting. So therefore, there's no unbecoming behavior when it comes to that. People have been expressing their own preferences. So all what is required from all delegates, let us unite this movement. Let's prepare this movement to be strong, to win the elections and regain our confidence by the people.
Bimbi, thank you very much for your time, Baba. That is Olisi Kaunda, who is a member of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal.
Siphamandla, I understand you also spotted a few members of the NEC, and maybe we'll talk about that shortly with you, just to hear what they've got to say. You just spoke to Olisi Kaunda there. Let's just bring in Manqoba at the moment, who's at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, to tell us what's happening there. Good afternoon, Manqoba.
Good afternoon, Praden. Well, certainly we are here at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, and this is where the registration is happening for this particular conference. You recall, of course, that the ANC has indicated that it's all systems go as far as registration is concerned. They have indicated, Praden, that in fact there was pre-registration that was done prior to this conference, and that really they were expecting things to go smoothly this morning. And that's not what we're seeing, though, here at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. We're still seeing quite a number of delegates arriving here, and the region that you're seeing here, Praden, behind me is the Moses Mabhida region, which is the second biggest region here in KwaZulu-Natal. Of course, they are still, we understand, going to also get their accreditation. But speaking just to some of the leadership here in the province, the Secretary Mchunu Ntuli, he did indicate that there were quite a few delegates that did not go to do those pre-registration. So these are the delegates that they say are here this afternoon to come and do their photographs, to come and do their registration here this afternoon. That's really what he says is causing the delay here. But I can tell you that we're here at the parking of the Moses Mabhida, and there are quite a number of groups, quite a number of regions that are here, that are still here at the parking, but then they have not been accredited at this particular point. And what we do understand, but then, is that they still have to go through that process. So when exactly these delegates will get their accreditation and when exactly that conference will start, I think at the moment remains to be seen. But one thing that is certain, but then, and this is from some of the chants that these delegates were hurling just a short while ago, is that they have made it quite clear who they are going to support in this particular conference. The names that this particular region is, of course, talking about is that of the incumbent chair, Sihle Zikalala, as well as Dumseni Ntuli as provincial secretary, as well as Kwazim Shengu as the deputy here in KwaZulu-Natal. That's as far as what we've heard. But just also from earlier on, when speaking to the eThekwini secretary, regional secretary, he did indicate that they will be supporting the other slate known as the Taliban. It's been called the Taliban, but then I don't know why it's been called that, but this is one of those factions, or the slate, that is seemingly pushing Asboniso Duma as the provincial chair of this province, as the chair of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, as well as Begim Dolo as the secretary. Well, I can tell you, Braden, that the registration process itself is still continuing. They have not done with the registration process this side, but when speaking to some of the leaders, they had indicated, Braden, that they were hoping that at least by 1 o'clock this would have been done and concluded, but that's not the case, as we're seeing some of the delegates still here.
So leading to that delay, and of course we know how important that registration is. Siphamandla Goge, just back to you there very, very quickly. Siphamandla, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Sorry about that. I was just moving around. I'm still here.
Okay, just very briefly, we're out of time now. What's the main message coming from the NEC members who've been deployed there by the ANC to oversee this very important KwaZulu-Natal provincial conference?
No matter what happens, there must be unity, and this conference must not be chaotic. It must be very smooth, and they must elect leaders that will take the party forward. That is the message. They must elect leaders that will save the ANC from losing power in 2024.
Siphamandla Goge and Manqoba Mchunu. Now,